for worldwide audience. Please join us and mute yourselves if you're not talking, and join us in this dhyana session for 15 minutes before his talk starts at 6 o'clock. धन्यवाद, थैंक यू। आचार्य जी आप शुरू कीजिए। आपको अगर रिकॉर्ड करना है तो आप रिकॉर्ड कर सकते हैं, यूट्यूब पे लाइव।
जस्ट यूट्यूब पे लाइव कर रहा हूँ।
हाँ, तो इट इज ऑलरेडी रिकॉर्डेड।
ओम। Prefer English or Hindi or mix of them?
I think
whichever.
Hindi is okay, but you can do mix also. English
is better. Yeah.
English is better.
Yeah.
Sadhna is saying.
Okay. So let's sit down straight with the back, the head, and the neck in one straight line. Body totally relaxed, and relax the soles, the heels, the legs, the knee joints, the thighs, the hips, the abdomen, stomach, the back, the thorax, and with the lungs. More importantly, relax the shoulder blades, the neck, the hands till the fingertips, the facial muscles, the head, and feel the calm at the level of the brain. Deep inhale and exhale a few times. Long, slow inhale and long exhale. The three-step process for breathing is while exhaling, pull the shoulders down, deflate the lungs, and push the belly button backwards towards the spine as far as possible. Gradually start inhaling by inflating the stomach, then the lungs. Push the shoulders up slightly. Feel the breath flowing throughout the body and gradually pull the shoulders down, deflate the lungs and the belly. So the three-step process for both inhale and exhale. We're going to do Om Jap, and we are doing the Om Jap. Just take it with a universal sound. Observe the origin of the sound, which usually starts with O at the region of the stomach, with the Jataragni, the life force at the digestive region, moving slowly up the spine, and with the Ma or M, it ends with at the level of the brain. And if we pay careful attention, we can feel the vibrations of the Om chanting as it moves from the stomach to along the spine to the brain, and some more focus and attention on our own chanting, pronunciation, and sound waves coming out of the pronunciation. We'll feel some vibrations at the level of the skull, the brain, and the inner peace, inner silence. Deep inhale, and while exhaling, it would be the Om chanting at the same time. In the next sequence, we'll do Om chanting 3 times. That would be vocal. The next 3 times would be only lips movement, Upanshu. And another 3 times would be silent chanting with no sound and no lips movement, but still some good focus will lead us to listen to the sounds of silence. Even at the point of silent chanting, we'll be able to feel the silent chanting and the vibrations throughout our body, restoring the balance of the energy levels at all points of the body. Just be focused on your own chanting and listen to the chanting at all 3 rounds. I'll be guiding, I'll be vocal on all 3 rounds. And the second round, you remember it's just lips movement. And the third round, no sound, no lips movement. Oh. The next round of chanting would be only lips movement. The third round would be only lips movement for you. Now it's only silent chanting, but if you find yourself moving out of the chanting from the mental focus, just do the lips movement with the chanting, and that will bring back your focus. mantra part, the universal Gayatri mantra, also known as Guru mantra or Maha mantra. Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo devasya dhimahi Dhiyo yo nah prachodayah. Join the palms together, rub them gently, cover the eyes, and slowly open the eyes below the palms, transferring the energy to the facial muscles. So namaste everybody and welcome. Just hope you would sense the moments of silence within that. And you can do the official welcome and then we'll start with yoga.
Yes. Thank you, Acharya ji, for a wonderful session on Omkar Dhyana. And if we practice this on a daily basis, for a few minutes to begin with and extend slowly and surely over a period of time, I'm sure we will all get to benefit a lot. And then we can discuss what the benefits that we are experiencing are. Today, we will start our session on Yoga Darshan in our daily lives, yoga, its significance in our daily lives by Acharya ji. What is yoga and what it isn't? Most of us are practitioners of yoga here in our group. And so it will be very beneficial to hear Acharya ji expound on the use of yogasana in our daily life. Thank you, Acharya ji. Please begin.
Namaste and welcome. I'll be proceeding with a PowerPoint slide presentation where that makes it easy to follow. So I'll be sharing my screen with all of you. So namaste and welcome. I'll take the subject of today as a holistic approach to wellness through yoga. We'll be covering the same subject, but focusing on how yoga philosophy itself in our daily life will bring us the holistic approach to wellness. And wellness itself, as defined by the WHO, it's a state of complete physical, mental, moral, spiritual, and social well-being. It's not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So remember, physical, mental, moral, spiritual, and social well-being. So if we look generally, put the questions to anybody, what are the goals of the human form of life? some will reply, be successful, others be rich, and some other be famous. And it's a whole rosary of answers that we may get. Likewise, if we go unto the purpose of yoga, just ask anybody. The first thing that comes to the mind is a bundle of physical exercises and breathing exercises, which is very good for physical health, bringing us in equilibrium with our physical body. But the yoga philosophy as it is, it's much more beyond that. And in the terms of Maharishi Patanjali, the goals of human life is dukkhon se chotana, sukh ki prapti. As far as possible, move away from pains, sufferings, sorrows, afflictions. And more importantly, be happy, whatever be the circumstances. Remember that dukkhon se chotana or sukh ki prapti. And at times, as and when we grow, our problems grow. We're a kid, we're under the responsibility of parents. We grow now, we start going to school, we have to learn. So it seems to be adding burden to our life. And if we take it from, unfortunately, which many of us do, we take it as a burden. And there starts dukkha. And its pains, sufferings, afflictions, sorrows, etc. And the more we grow, we become young, we go to, say, secondary school, we go to college, we go to university, it's more and more to learn. We say, okay, probably when we'll start working, then our pains will decrease. But then we find that no, our goals change. We say we need to get married, settle in life, and then we'll be happy. After that, we'll say no, probably we'll buy a better house, a greater car, and we'll be happy. Still, we don't find this happiness. We start growing old. Now the body has crossed the growth stage, the maturity stage. Old age starts setting in. Now we find wrinkles on the body, the hair going gray. Then it's another worry. Oh, we are reaching now towards the end of the life cycle. So we've lost focus. Instead of being happy in each and every circumstances of life, we have accumulated stress, and the stress is mainly because we've not been happy with our current state of affairs. We've not been happy with what we have or we had, but we've been more or less unhappy for the things that we don't have in life. And we realize that only at the end of the road of life. So the Yog Darshan says, Hey Hetu Han Upai. Knowing the causes of sufferings, afflictions, empower us to move out of them. And Han Upai, adopt the principles to be happy. Let's look at yoga, the source of it. The root word is yuj, which means to join, to unite, to yoke. We have quite a few mantras, at least a dozen of them through the Vedas, which refer directly to yoga. We have yoge, yoge, tavastaram, then yunjati, manauta, yunjate. These are from the Yajurveda, chapter 11. The first 10, 15 mantras talk only about these things. And the various words we find there, yunjati, yunjatu, yunjanaha, yogakshema, etc., etc. And it's in the four Vedas. It's not only in the Rig Veda or Yajur Veda, it's in the four of them. The key word there is yuj in Sanskrit, which means to join, to unite. So what are the things that we have to unite first to be on the path of happiness? It's create the harmony between our thoughts, our words, and our actions. Manasa, vacha, karmana. Create the harmony between our gun, karma, svabhav. Gun, our character, karma, our actions, and svabhav, our nature. If we'll be able to link all the three of them, either on manasa, vacha, karmana, on our thoughts, words, and speech, or on our gun, karma, svabhav, on our character, on our actions, and our nature, we'll start connecting with the inner self, realize the inner self as the driver in the driver's seat, the soul in the driver's seat of this body, and we'll start moving towards realizing the causes of pains and sufferings, move out of them, because when we know the causes, we can at least minimize the effect or move out of them and be happy. Sorry. The definition of yoga as per Yog Darshan Maharshi Patanjali is yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the nirod, that is the silencing of chit vritti, the fluctuating mental activities that include emotional activities. Because when the mental activities are fluctuating ups and downs, the emotions also flows along. So if we're able to put a pause to that fluctuating mental activities, we'll also exercise control on our emotions. And that is done very fluid, very subtle way, with no hard hitting on the mind. We started with Om Jap, synchronized with our breathing. Just remember, synchronized with our breathing process. And if we learn to first regulate our breathing, that is when we breathe out, pull the shoulders slightly down, deflate the lungs, then deflate the belly, the stomach, pushing the belly button towards the spine. And when we inhale, we just inflate the belly first, then the lungs, pull the shoulders up. That starts regulating the breath. And being aware, mindful of the breathing process while exhaling, chanting Om, you most likely have realized you're connected with yourself, totally disconnected from the outside world, and you start feeling the inner peace, the inner silence. Then realize that for peace, we don't have to go on the outside, we need to go inside us. And the main problem in today's world, with all the COVID problems and the lockdowns, it was nature also reminding us to go inside, stop going outside, stop the rush, the mad rush of going outside. And the Om chanting synchronized with the breath is the first and easiest step to move into that state where we can put a pause to all the fluctuations of the mind. Bring ourselves to realize the inner self. And once we realize the inner self as the driver within the body, now we can start going into the proper directions, just as when we have our car parked outside, the car doesn't move by itself. Rather, we have to be in the driver's seat, start the ignition, then use the clutch and the brakes and everything to get the car moving. Even those electronically driven cars, we need to give the program, put the destination, and it has to go on the satellite tracking and move ahead. So behind that, there is the programming that is being done. Likewise, this body, the mind, which we say the monkey mind, it's easily tamed through Om Jap, Om chanting, synchronized with the breathing process. So yoga itself is Ashtang Yoga. Ashtang, it's the 8 limbs of yoga. It starts with yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Yama are the precepts of social discipline, with ahimsa, non-violence, satya, truth, asteya, non-stealing, brahmacharya, self-control, control over the senses, and brahmacharya also includes study of the scriptures to draw inspiration, and self-analysis, introspection for continuous improvement, and then aparigraha, non-accumulation of superfluous things in life. Niyama, the precepts of personal discipline. Sauch, santosha, tapa, swadhyaya, ishvara pranidhana. Sauch, purity, purity of mind, body, and spirit, purity of thoughts, words, and actions. Santosha, be content. I'll come back to the starting point. Be content with the things that we have in life, with the essentials of life, rather than be unhappy for the things that we don't have, or for the things that our neighbors, our friends, our relatives have more than us. This is one of the root cause of unhappiness. So if we learn santosha, be content, even in the times of dire stress, we'll be able to keep our mind calm, be connected with ourselves, and not bear the brunt of stress or any other problems in life. Then tapa is about enduring some austerity, like to some degree bear the excess heat in summer, some of the cold of winter, at times just delay your lunch, or especially lunchtime. Learn to bear to some extent hunger and thirst. What happens with that, bearing some austerity? Learn about compassion. When we find somebody who is hungry or thirsty, we'll say, okay, we ate breakfast in the morning, we'll be having dinner in the night, so we can spare our lunch or the bottle of water we are carrying, give it to the needy, and be compassionate, be human in life. At the same time, it empowers us to build resilience to face adversities of life. Then Swadhyay, it's reading of the scriptures, not only parrot reading, but drawing inspiration to be able to be a better person in life. Then Ishwar Pranidhan is about surrender to God. And surrender to God is just complying to the teachings that we have from the scriptures, Vedas, Upanishads, etc., and implementing them in life. When we say surrender to Ishvara, another word which goes with that is bhakti or devotion. We usually understand bhakti or devotion as sitting down and chanting mantras and bhajan. That's only a fraction of that. To learn about bhakti and devotion, just compare to what we do in daily life. When we say child is devoted, the child is devoted only because it follows the instructions, the guidance of the parents, and the instructions and the guidance of the gurus, the teachers, the mentors. The child doesn't sit down to do arti of the parents nor the gurus. So if we are a devotee of God, first and foremost, we have to comply with the teachings, with the instructions. Prayers, bhajan, puja, etc. is only one part of devotion. The major part resides in following the guidance, the instructions. Then asana. Maharishi Patanjali says, sthira sukham asanam. The asana which we know in yoga is very good for health, but the asana to benefit from yoga is just sit down in any posture where you feel the most comfortable for a long period of time, totally relaxed. It may be Padmasana, it may be Sukhasana, it may be sitting on a chair, sitting on a sofa, but with the back, the neck, and the head in vertical line. Then pranayam is about breath control, synchronized breathing, and then start practicing Bahya and Abhyantara pranayam. Bahya pranayam is you inhale slowly, gradually till the full lungs are full. Then exhale forcefully, withhold the breath outside for as long as you can. When you start feeling discomfort, then you start breathing in gradually again. And Abhyantar pranayam is inhale, withhold the breath inside as long as we can. And then when we start feeling discomfort, then we exhale gradually, slowly. So we'll just do a short practice of these two pranayam. Just remember, if you have BP problems, don't stretch to the maximum. Keep it to about 1/4, 1/3 of your retention capacity in terms of time. And if you've had something, you've eaten something or drank something, just keep it to that 1/3 or 1/4 of the time that you can withhold the breath. We'll do the first one, Bahya Pranayam. So it's deep inhale, forceful exhale, and retain the breath outside. We'll do the round 3 times. Deep inhale, forceful exhale, with the belly button pushed completely towards the spine. And when we feel discomfort, then gradually start inhaling again. 1, 2 times, normal breathing. Then again, deep inhale, forceful exhale, retain the breath outside. And when you start feeling discomfort, inhale and exhale normally, slowly. 3rd round. So this is the Bahya Pranayam. Then the second one is about retaining the breath inside. So we'll do deep inhale, retain the breath inside. And when we start feeling discomfort, we just release the breath gradually, slowly outside. Remember, if you have high BP or you had food or drinks, just keep to about 1/4, 1/3 of your capacity of retention. Deep inhale and retain inside. We'll do 3 times. Second round. Third round. So if we've been careful on our breathing, breath control, breath retention, either outside or inside, during the retention process, we can feel the pulsations throughout our body. And when we retain the breath outside, the pulsations tend to start from inside, pushing towards the outside. What happens is that when we retain the breath outside, the body still needs oxygen. So it draws from the air pockets, the blockages that we have had in our body, draws the air, the oxygen from there. And once the blockages are removed, then we start feeling less and less body pain, because body ache in terms of Ayurveda is the air blockages in our body. And when we practice retention of breath inside, we can feel the push from outside to inside the body. What happens, it's act on the 3rd life force, the Vyan, which sends oxygen and nutrients to all the nooks and corners of the body. So we'll be able to exercise better oxygenation of the body and be in better health. And at the same time, if we are focused, feeling the pulsations, we are just reaching the stage where we've silenced the mind and we start getting control over the mind. Then pratyahara is about introversion of the senses. What we usually do is seeking happiness on the outside, seeking happiness from foods and drinks, from the sense of smell, from the sense of sight, hearing, and touch. But remember, all these are temporary. When we eat and drink good food, it goes the taste till the throat, and once it's down, the taste is lost. No taste now. When we've taken the perfume, it lasts for some probably seconds or minutes. Then we no longer feel the perfume even within. We've sprayed that on our body, we splashed it, we no longer feel that. Likewise, when we see things to a certain extent, we feel pleasure, but at one point in time, it starts subsiding. So what happens is next time we look for higher and higher levels. And this is where addiction starts. So yoga says, pratyahara, control over the senses, know that the external sources of pleasure, it's only at the body level and not inside. So if we start exercising control over that, we'll not get addicted to anything in life. We'll retain proper control on our senses. Then dharana is about focus. Initially, when we start meditating, we can start with an external point of focus. You can light a lamp. And when you light a lamp, I would suggest you light a lamp with 1 spoon of ghee there, because ghee is sattvic, whereas oil and candles are more on the rajasic and tamasic side. We'll come to that later if we have time. Let's look into the basics of yoga. Then dhyan is about meditation, absorption in the purpose of our meditation. And we started with synchronized breathing, Om Jap, and you could feel that the mind is going on silence. We are focused on our chanting. We are absorbed in our chanting. And once we start getting absorbed in the chanting, that is the first step on meditation on the basis of the yoga philosophy, what it teaches to us. Then samadhi is the deepest level the deepest levels of meditation, where now we start realizing the inner self, the Atma or the soul, as the driver within the body with a purpose to enter into communion and connect to the Supreme Soul, the Supreme Being, Paramatma, Ishvara, God. Now, we'll look at a few sutras of the Yoga Darshan, how it leads us to be a better person in life from the practical point of view. Sutra 114, chapter 1 and 14th sutra. It says, Sa tu dirkale nairantaraya sarkara asevito dharir bhumi. It says, Sa tu, whatever practice needs to be done over dirkal, long time, nairantarya, constant, regular practice, satkara sevita, it's with total commitment, passion, devotion, dedication. I'll just give one example. The first time we tried cooking roti or rice or even noodles, we didn't get it perfect. It probably went a bit too wet or too dry, too thick or too thin or too as we say, hard or too soft. But with practice over a long time, constant regular practice, probably cooking for 10 times, 20 times. As we say, when we go for cooking roti, we can even close the eyes and we are sure we'll make the roti perfect circle and cook it to the point. And when we've put rice on the fire, on the stove, we know that after so much time, it's nearly cooked. And when we just look into, we know it's reached the proper point. Likewise, for anything that we do in life, we need this philosophy of practice over a long time, constant, regular commitment, passion, devotion. Whether it be the physical yoga, asana, pranayam, or in meditation. Especially when we start on the path of yoga meditation, at the initial stage, we can find that our mind is still fluctuating, drawing us back to where we stood. And if we go back there, we are lost. We need to persevere. We need to put in our efforts and we'll realize surely the goal. And there's one small story about the hare and the tortoise. The hare feels overconfident, goes to sleep in between the race, and the tortoise just be regular, constant passion to reach the goal and finally reach the goal before the hare. So that's the practical applications of this sutra in daily life. Then know the types of pains and sorrows in life. The Sankhya Darshan says, Trividha Dukkha, Atyanta Nivritti, Atyanta Purusharth. The Trivid Dukkha are the three types of pains and sorrows. Adhyatmic, for which we are ourselves the cause. Adibhautik, which is caused to us by other living beings. And Adidevik, natural calamities. One example of Adhyatmic is pains and sufferings for which ourselves we are responsible. Lack of discipline in our life, overeating, overdrinking, overlack sleep, overstressed, all these are our making. Then things which are beyond our control, what others are doing, and the spillover effect on us. Like if we take the current situation, Adhyatmic Dukkha, we've been given guidelines by the health authorities, we didn't follow that and we've caught COVID. Or we've not paid attention to people coming to us and we've got infected. So this is Adhyatmic. Then Adibhautik, it's the spillover of the collective negligence which affected us. Had we been careful, the spread wouldn't have been that far and it wouldn't have impacted our lives to that effect. Then Adidevik, COVID itself is beyond our control, probably coming. It's, I would say, joint responsibilities. We interfered with wildlife and it came to us. So that virus also is beyond our control, that is Adidevik. So Adhyatmic is distress arising within oneself, physical, mental, illness, distress, and conflicting, insatiable desires. Remember, Pratyahar, control over the senses will bring us far and far from Adhyatmic Dukkha. Then Adibhautik Dukkha, misery that results with interactions with other people. And the visible ones are war, genocides, the most common disputes with family, friends, co-workers. And the invisible ones are mental torture, harassment, exploitations. That is among people. And interaction with animals are the attacks, the bites, loss, or death. So even interference with wildlife, which causes COVID, is adibhotik. Then adidaivic dukh, agony, pain arising from natural disasters. We live in this world, we have to face droughts, floods, storms, earthquakes, tornadoes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, etc. And just look at nature. Our senses fail to recognize the deeper reality. But if we look at the lower forms of life, lower not in terms of us being superior, but we have better capacity to acquire knowledge, yet we find that when natural calamities are coming, the birds go in hiding, the ants go in hibernation, other animals seek refuge well before the onset of the adverse conditions. Suddenly we, in spite of the forecasts, we fail to be careful. So really, we need to know that we are born with less knowledge to be independent in our life, what is called swabhavik dhyan. Other forms of life have better knowledge. Take the puppy, 1 year old, put it in water, it will swim and come out of the water without being taught swimming. But the human baby, if you don't teach swimming, you just get drowned. Likewise, the young calf recognize the mother cow and goes to have its milk on its own. Start walking from day one, but the human baby has less potential to be independent. In fact, it's near zero, dependent on the parents. But look at the powers that God has given to us in terms of mental, physical capacity to develop ourselves with acquired knowledge, acquired expertise, etc., which is nemitic dhyan. If we're able to increase our potential, our capacity on acquired knowledge, acquired skills, we'll also be able to move out of these three types of dukkha: adidaivic, adibhotik, and adhyatmic dukkha. And that's why when we do Shanti parties, comes Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We are praying to God, give us the potential to move away from these three types of pains and sufferings. Now the causes of sufferings. The Yog Darshan says, avidya, asmita, rag, dvesh, abhinivesh, pancha, klesha. So these are the 5 causes of pains and sufferings. Avidya, ignorance, absence of knowledge, incorrect knowledge, illusion, etc. Like if you go into a dark room, there's this rope hanging, you can think about it's a snake. This is one type of avidya. Incorrect knowledge, illusion. So these are things like pains and pleasures are temporary in life. And if we recognize the transient nature of pains and pleasures, we'll be able to move out of them and be happy. So this is the effect of avidya, how it curbs on our life. Then asmita. Asmita is about confounding our individuality. Me, mine, and myself. We start thinking about that and we start thinking this is the whole of life. No, life is beyond that. You have a family, we have relationships with others, we live in a society as an individual, and we have to interact as such. Then we don't confuse our mind, body to be the soul. The soul is something else. And this is what, when it leaves the body just, as we said, dher par jata hai. It just goes flat. No movement in that. So recognize the soul within the body. And the soul as the driver in command of the body. Then rag is inordinate attachment to sources of happiness. And that can be rag towards material things or living beings. Be careful, excesses, immoderation is going to give us pains. Because the day we stop deriving pleasure from that, then that rag turns into dvesh, into aversion, into hate. So both of them are harmful to us. So it's best to be moderate. Then abhinivesh is the problem where we think that death is only for others, in spite of us seeing people dying daily. We say this is for others, this is not for me. But forget it can happen to anybody at any point in time. And if we live with that concept, we live to be the best of persons now and not keep it for the future. So this is where yoga leads us to. Then recognize the other sources of pains and sufferings. Kam, krodha, lobha, moh. Lust, anger, greed, fascination, infatuation. These are inevitable points in life, but don't cede or just don't curb below these. And self-control, pratyahara, leads us to overcome these four. Then the other thing about yoga, it says parinam tap sanskar dukkha guna vritti virodhacha dukkam eva sarvam vivekena. Recognize sorrows due to parinam, the change, the transformation, the consequence. Tap, pain, hardships of sudden events. Sanskar, imprints or repeated experiences which may lead to addiction. Then dukkha guna vritti virodha is about the fluctuations in guna. Now let's see in parinam. The change, the transformation, the consequence. Like when we grow young, now we start the outer makeup of this body. And the slightest wrinkle or the first gray hair, we start worrying. But if we accept these as natural changes in our body, we'll stop being unhappy and we'll be living happiness to the maximum. So we have to assume the state of things as they are. Know that changes are inevitable and avoidable in life. We bought a brand new car, probably by our own negligence, we may have rubbed somewhere and it's scratched, or things beyond our control. Somebody who's just passed around by mere ignorance has rubbed something against the car, or purposefully those who play pranks or doing bad things, they just take a nail and walk around along the car and make a long line there, scratching your paint. So dukhi hon kyo hona chahiye. These are things that are bound to happen. The car is not me. Likewise, my body is not the soul. So the physical pains and happiness, pleasures shouldn't impinge or put me in a situation where I fail to recognize the true happiness. It's going to impact our life. We are humans, fine. But we shouldn't allow that to overcome our life. Then tap. I just give you one example. You prepared very good food, excellent food to receive your guests. But by inadvertence, you just get a fly which falls into that. That's inevitable, beyond your control. So don't be unhappy. It's better now to say, okay, you have to scrap this off and start again. Let's take it easy and start again. So we'll reduce our own pains, our own hardship. Then sanskar. It's that when we do things repeatedly, we get addicted to them. And repeated experiences, the day we analyze, we need higher and higher levels of experiences to get the same level of happiness. So that's addiction. Then gun vritti virodha, that is one simple way which I use to tell people, take a ripe, red, brilliant apple, shining. That is Satogun Pradhan. Satvik is presiding. Leave it in the open on a table for a few days. The change now starts from Satvik to Rajasic. Activity starts, the apple starts shriveling, and the shape goes brittle, the luster is no longer there. And if you leave it for another 1 week or 10 days, it starts leaking, putrefaction starts, rotting starts, bad smell comes out of it. That is tamasic gun presiding there. It's the same apple, but over time, it shifts from sattvic to rajasic and tamasic. So these are the fluctuations of the gunas within all materials, all particles of life. And once we know that changes are unavoidable, inevitable in life, then we will grow vivekena, we'll grow in sight, we'll grow in wisdom, and we'll be able to accept what are the natural occurrences in things, in events, and be happy. Then recognize the sources, also the 9 hurdles in life. Sickness, physical, mental. If we practice yoga, meditation, we'll be able to move, lessen our physical pains, mental illness. Then recognize lethargy, procrastination, delaying of things. Recognize the feelings of doubt, and don't let doubt overcome us in daily life. Stop being negligent, stop being lazy, and stop the inordinate attachment to worldly pleasures and indulgence. Be moderate in life. Then let's move out of confusion, of misunderstanding. Especially when we try the first time, we don't reach the targets. Don't be discouraged. Persevere, and surely we'll reach the goals. Then the other point is about instability. We'll practice, we've reached the goals today, and when we stop practicing, we'll say, okay, that is our cup of tea. Then the next time we start again, we have to start from zero because we've abandoned our practice. So the sutra says, Vyadhi, Styan, Sanshay, Pramada, Alasya, Virati, Pranti, Darshan, Alabdha, Bhumi, Katva, Tanavasti, Tattva, Chitta, Vikshepa, Antaraya. This is what disturbs our mental peace. Chitta, Vikshepa. It starts putting us on another wavelength where we are always on the ups and downs at the mental level. And when we are on the ups and downs of the mental level, it starts playing also on our physical level. Then the other one is Dukh Dharmanasya Angame Jayatva Shwas Prashwas Vikshepa Sahabhuva. It tells us recognize the signals. Is dukkha, grief, sorrow. Dharmanasya, post-failure irritation. Angame Jayatva, the shaking of limbs. Shwas Prashwas Vikshepa, it's irregular breathing. If we recognize these signals in life, in due time, we'll be able to take remedial measures to be happy. Otherwise, they will just bend us to their whims and fancies. Then for chit prasadanam, to be happy at the mental level and happy at the physical level also. It says these are the 4 types of behavioral patterns. Maitri karuna mudita upekshanam sukha dukha punya punya vishayanam bhavnatash chitta prasadanam. Maitri, be happy. Be happy towards hope, the sukhi. Those who are happy and prosperous in life, let's learn to be friendly with them. Otherwise, what happens generally when we see people happy is we just burn ourselves by jealousy. And remember, when a candle burns, it gets shorter and shorter. So that's the edicts there on yoga. It says, let's be friendly, because we learn to be happy by being friendly with happy people. And when we burn ourselves, we'll just increase our own dukkha. Then karuna, practice compassion, empathy towards the suffering, the needy. Today we have everything that we want. Tomorrow the situation may reverse. We may be suffering, we may be in need. So if we practice compassion, empathy, karuna, in due time, people will give us back. And remember karma, whatever goes, comes around. Then mudita, be content with those people who are punya, who've grown, who've been prosperous on ethical thoughts, speech, and actions. Because we have lots to learn from them, to grow also, to be punya, that is, be ethical, be beneficial, be benevolent in life. Then towards the apunya, the cruel, the wicked, who will hinder physical, mental, moral, spiritual progress. Just be indifferent with them. And one example is that when we are driving, whatever happens on the sides of the roads, we are just looking at them, ignoring them. Our destination is our focal point. So whenever we meet cruel people or people who are hindrance in society, we know probably we can try to change them, but if they don't want to change, just ignore them and continue our way. This is for chitta prasadanam. And Yog Darshan tells us this is where the yoga starts. Then remember, our birth is due to several factors. Our growth depends on several factors. Janma, birth. If we're born with the body healthy, okay, but some people are born with physical challenges, then we have to assume those states. Then take proper care about Oshadhi. Oshadhi include foods and medicinal herbs. Remember, Oshadhi means mainly food like rice, wheat, the cereals, the pulses, etc. that we take. Those plants that grow and give one yield and die out. Then mantra, incantations. We did Om Jap when we could feel the silence, bringing the peace to us. Then tapa is about austerity to develop resilience to face the adversities of life. Then samadhi siddhaya. If we practice yoga, we've gone to the path of samadhi, we'll reach the point of life where we say mrityoramam mritam gamaya. We break the cycle of birth and death to be in the eternal bliss of Ishvara. And this is the point where we stop suffering. So long as we'll be in the cycle of birth and death, we'll have to endure parinam, tap, sanskar, dukkha, guna, vritti, virodha. These are unavoidable. Adhyatmic, adhibhautik, and adhidevik dukkha are unavoidable. And the best way is to move into moksha, mukti through the practice of yoga And through the practice of yoga, we'll reach that point where we'll reach the siddhis. And when we reach the siddhis, we'll be going to the success in life. I just hope I've been able to bring you some insight about practical applications of yoga towards the holistic approach to wellness. And as I said, wellness is not only about being physically happy, but happy from all angles: physical, mental, moral, spiritual, and social levels. Because as human beings, we depend on each and every individual. Every individual efforts count towards bringing a happy society. It's not what others would do, it starts with me, and with me as focal point. If I start emitting the positive vibes around me, then that will, as we say, be contagious. Others will learn and start adopting the same philosophy to be happy in life. And if we add the individual efforts, the sum of those efforts will be a society with better levels of physical, mental, moral, spiritual, and social welfare, happiness. Thank you for your attention. I'll leave the floor to the MC from now.
Thank you, Acharya ji. Yeah, thank you very much for that wonderful insight into how we should view not only ourselves, but the world, and what kind of practices of mental discipline and daily practice that can help us achieve these goals. If any of you have any questions for Acharya ji, please speak up. You can unmute yourself and speak. Or if you'd like to type any of the questions in the chat window, we can take that. And following which, we will have Sadhana discuss a little bit about next month's program. And we will conclude today with a Shanti Mantra.
Hello, everyone. Thanks to everyone for taking out their valuable time. And so it was a great insight, Acharya-ji. Thanks a lot. Because I understood that yoga is just not some physical exercises, but it's like a holistic approach for happiness, which we all are trying to achieve. The main goal is to achieve happiness. So anyway, thank you, Acharya-ji, and for connecting from Mauritius, and it's very kind of you. And definitely, we'll, as Shobha said, we can post questions, and we can maybe at one point we can take out the time to answer those questions. Today we ran a bit late, but anyway, I want to just make a point to all the attendees to let you all know that for the next month, on August 22nd, we are planning to celebrate Janmashtami in the Global Mall in the evening, like around 3:30 to 6:30. And we will be posting all the details in the group, and definitely we would like to hear feedback, and anybody who wants to volunteer in some way or give opinions and suggestions, that would be very helpful. And so we'll be celebrating Janmashtami, Teej, Varalakshmi, Raksha Bandhan, all the festivals, and trying to discuss the Vedic significance of them and why we celebrate. And of course, we'll have Mahaprasad after that. So we'll be posting all the details very soon, and I wait to hear from all of you. And I would really appreciate if people, take active participation by giving their ideas, that would really help and to plan better. And so thanks once again to all of you. And so Shobha, you want to conclude? Where is Shobha? So I can start. Acharya ji, would you like to do the Shanti mantra part?
Okay.
Hmm.
So we'll do it in the yogic meditative form. Just sit down straight, close the eyes gently, the body totally relaxed. We'll do free shlok, which are common and very common and known to most of us. And that also paying attention to each and every word and the pronunciation. And while doing Shanti part is linking each and every Shanti with the respective word and leading us to be peaceful to all the elements of the universe, and in turn, the elements would be peaceful to us. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritam Gamaya Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santo Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyanto Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhave Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Bandhoscha Sakha Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Om Dyo Shanti Antariksham Shanti Prithivi Shanti Apah Shanti Oshadhaya Shanti Vanaspataya Shanti Vishvedeva Shanti Brahma Shanti Sarvam Shanti Shanti Reva Shanti Sama Shanti Redhi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste, everybody. Thank you.
Namaste, Acharya ji.
Namaste, Acharya ji. Dhanyavad.
धन्यवाद आचार्य जी.
Namaste. Thank you, Ji.
थैंक यू आचार्य जी.
बहुत सुंदर था.
बहुत अच्छा था.
Okay, thanks everybody for the opportunity to be amongst you.
Yes.
It was a good fortune to have you with us.
Yes, our pleasure.
Mhm.
Okay.
And we are blessed.
Namaste.
Yeah.
Okay. Many blessings and stay safe. See you later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be
Thank
posting
you.
the details very soon, yeah, of the program.
Thank you for organizing. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Meera.
Thank you,
I
Meeraji.
was carried away. Thank you for reminding me the time difference.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sadhana and Shobha. Thank you very much
Bye.
reminding
Bye.
us
Yeah,
and
thank you very, very much.
organizing it.
Welcome. Welcome.
Meeraji, your comment, your participation really gives us a lot of energy and boosts our this thing to come up with better things.
Thank you, Sadhana.
Yeah, everybody else can give their suggestions and, let us know what all topics you would like to. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Namaste.
Shilpa.